have you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
No problem. Is the camera good this way, or do you need it that way?
No, it's good. We have a perfect square there. So real quick, before we get started with questions, the last time we visited Las Vegas Motor Speedway, it obviously ended on a fun note for you as a local taking home the victory there. So talk to us a little bit about that race, that win, and just what it really, meant to you to win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
It was a huge win for me personally. Las Vegas Motor Speedway had been a thorn in my side over the years, and I left there every year more and more, displeased and frustrated. And sometimes you don't win at a track, or Daytona. It took me 17 years to win the 500. I felt different leaving Daytona. Like I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It will happen. Vegas, I'm like, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Like it just, Vegas was that tough on me. And it was that emotional tie of going up there, having all my friends and family and people there rooting me on, and just not being able to get the job done. It just felt weird. And so that it was really a spiritual moment of winning last September in the playoffs at the South Point 400, and then not having fans and having people at the racetrack. I missed them, and then it was just like boom, zoom. They zoomed in on me, and we all celebrated through the TV lens. So just pretty big moment for me last year, and just happy to win for Ganassi and to help us advance through the playoffs. So very impactful win last year.
All right, we're now going to go to the media for questions. For our first question, we'll take one from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Kurt. Obviously there's 3 unusual winners to start the season. I'm wondering if it's more about the 3 tracks are not traditional tracks, as opposed to maybe where teams actually are right now.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path, that it's 3 unique tracks with a super speedway, a road course, a 1.5 miles. But then there's the rules have stayed the same primarily. And yet also my crew chief, Matt McCall, was telling me how some of the tech procedures have changed and different things are being enforced differently than what they had been in years past. And so some of the aero advantages that some teams had, they might not be at full strength, or there's just different ways that we're all adjusting to the sequences. And so there's adjusting to the new, but then there's also the impounds or lack of practice and the other things that seems like teams are finding better patterns for. And so I'm enjoying the start of the season and watching different guys lead laps. I'm passing different guys are passing me. It's like, it's a very unique time right now with, and then you have all manufacturers have won, Ford won the big 500. Toyota's got a road course. So Chevy wins this weekend at a 1.5 miles. So we've got everything going for us right now. On you don't see a clear advantage for anybody.
And then typically the thought is that when NASCAR moves to a traditional 1.5 miles, that's when the season really starts. With the change to the schedule this year, there still are 8 1.5 miles, but is the importance still there on that track? And is it still an indicator of where teams are right now?
It's hard to really put a thumb on everything all at once. I've always looked at the start of the year is the chunk of races before the Easter break. And that's how a team evaluates what direction they need to go. The schedule that I've seen this year for everything, you have all these road courses that are part of the regular season, and they can fill up with different winners towards who's going to be in the playoffs or not. We might have so many new first-time winners with these road courses. That changes the way that points are accumulated to work your way in to the playoffs. But then when you see the traditional 10 races that are in the playoffs, those are those 1.5 miles. So and the short tracks too that we haven't even been to. And that's how you win the championship, is you win it at Phoenix. So still a lot of variety and no set patterns right
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, our next question will come from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hey, Kurt, appreciate your time this morning. Wanted to ask you two things. First, kind of following up on Jenna's question, does it change your mindset or your team strategy when it comes to how you approach the rest of the regular season with three, surprising winners through three races?
Again, you can't put the cart before the horse. You just got to let things play out here a little bit and see how things shake out with guys that have the wins. Are they going to, go after these stage points only now to help them once the playoffs start? You have the tracks still that we need to get to that balance out all of the off-season changes. So Vegas is a high grip 1.5 miles. Phoenix will be next week. The short tracks will start popping up. We're going to go sling some mud at Bristol. So it's still a quality team like ours that we have to be in the playoffs. We know we will. The important thing for us is to stick to our strength, and that's to gain points methodically through the stages of each race with race finishes. And if we've got the chance to gamble for a win at the end, we of course need to grab it. But right now, I think we're only like 4 points out of being third overall with a wreck at Daytona. So we've just got to keep chiseling away, getting our points built up. Then that'll give us more options to do things.
And the second question I had was kind of about Bristol. Your thoughts on Bristol going to a dirt track this year? Are you okay with a dirt track on the schedule?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's something different. Bristol Motor Speedway has done an incredible job of marketing the difference and putting dirt on it. I think January 1, then it's like March 1st, they're on their social. I've heard the race is sold out. There's going to be all types of other divisions racing. It's got a bunch of hype, and they've done a really good job with it. And so we'll see how the race plays out. I think the track's going to go dry, slick, and the cars are going to be super slow and sensitive. But hey, there's points. You got to get them, and there's a chance to win and to get into the playoffs. So some guys are going to absorb it. Some guys are going to dread it.
Thank you.
All right, our next question is going to come from Mark Garrow with PRN. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. Good morning, Kurt. Just sort of following up on Jenna and Jordan. But some people talk about it's good for the sport to have a dominant figure everybody's chasing. Now we have three different winners. It looks like a lot of parity. Do you think this is good for the sport, having a situation where almost now we don't know who even has a chance to win every week?
It's like the beginning of a Kentucky Derby. You have all horses that have a shot at it. One guy leads, one guy drops back. And then by the end of those 2 minutes, of the fastest 2 minutes in sports, you see your front runners. You see who's jumped to the lead, and we'll get there. It's just that this is a great start to the year with the variety of tracks, the rules in place. You're still going to have your front runners. There's no way that, Denny's not going to win multiple races. Harvick, I hope we're in that clique. I still think you'll have your front runners, and then you're going to have your guys that have won, and then they're going to get complacent.
And my other question is just jumping ahead a little bit to Atlanta. How do you explain to the race fans how you talk about a track that's wore out, it's coming apart, and then the driver looks up and smiles and go, and we love it? How do you explain that to a race fan about why you love it and why it is still a very competitive place to race on?
The easiest way to explain it is the lap times. When you have fresh tires at a track like Homestead or California Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway, you get to just barrel it down in there, and you're running, just as fast as you can go. And then by lap 3, the tires go, we can't hold that grip. What are you going to do now? And then by lap 20, you're sliding all around, and you're like, oh, this is great, because I still got 20 more laps to go before we get to a pit window. And so the driver really has to work at the worn out asphalt tracks to keep up with changing track conditions and tire wear. At some of the other tracks, Michigan, some of the other high grip 1.5 miles, we basically run the same lap time the whole time. and there's nothing that we can do to manipulate the car's speed to catch the other guy in front of us.
So again, there's no point sliding around. It doesn't become fun or isn't fun anymore.
Oh, it's fun, of course. That's what makes the lower grip tracks the bigger challenge. And so like Bristol going to dirt, that's going to be the least amount of grip we've ever seen. So here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Ron Futrell in Las Vegas. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey there, Kurt, how are you? Thanks for doing this morning. Tell us
Hey, Ron.
about that. Howdy. Tell us about that video, that monster video that you put together. First of all, what the production was like and going through all of that. Pretty elaborate production, number one. And number two, is there a hidden message behind that about your future? What do you think?
Yeah, to me, it was a blast to assemble a quality car from Ganassi and from Hendrick Engines, and to take a NASCAR car out on the open road and to have free reign, to work with Florida and the Department of Transportation, the Tourism Bureau, and to work with Highway Patrol. It was a dream of mine to do something different, to create the monster lifestyle that I enjoy every day with the employees, with the workers, with our fans. And to see a NASCAR car going 200 miles an hour over the 7-mile bridge to Key West, it was a theme of what is the monster lifestyle about? And then with the Harley riders, the moto guys doing backflips over the ramps on the bridge, the cameos from Gronk, who's a monster athlete, Vanilla Ice, who's a friend of mine down in South Florida. It just tied in a story of mine as well on my career with race wins, the good, the bad, and just the journey that I've been on. I wanted to create those imagery moments with such a scenic drive. And then, yes, at the end, is my racing career fulfilled? Is it complete? There's always those things that keep drawing any racer back. And there's those subliminal messages that I sprinkled in throughout it. So just a blast working with everybody and having fun down in Florida, trying to put together something fun.
So what do you think? Is that a retirement video or not?
It's left to your interpretation. So replay it, watch it again, and have everybody else open it up and watch for more views.
All right. Thanks, Kurt.
All right, our next question is going to come from Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. A little one-on-one for the fans, right? When last week you're at Homestead and you have a vibration and you radio in and you say, I've got a vibration. And they're like, well, keep it as long as you can. But if you really have an issue, let us know. Can you talk about what goes through a driver's mind? We have that happen various times. We're watching and we're like, I don't know how he's even dealing with this right now. How do you deal with that?
I had flashbacks of 2004 when my wheel came apart. The center section came apart from the outer rim. And you go through your memory bank of moments when there's vibrations. Is it a tire rub? Is it a loose lug nut? Is it damage from something else? You go through all these little checklists. And then if it keeps getting worse, you're like, man, it's not going to make it with the amount of laps that are left based off of how the vibration feels in the car. And it's the worst feeling in the world when you pull in and they go, yeah, everything was tight. And my crew, now that I've learned a little bit more of what was going on after that pit stop, it was loose. They just didn't want to tell me. They were just hoping that it would go the distance because that was the end of the race. It went green all the way to the end. And the pit crew's gambling, trying to give me that track position to go for the win because we ran in the top 5 all day. And those are those moments where a team has to be on their game, but also truthful and work through the situation together. And I said, this is enough. We're going to hit the fence and have a problem. And I did it early enough in the run to where we could still work our way back. My hope was just get back to the lead lap. And then if a yellow came out, at least we gave ourselves a chance without damage. So there's a lot of things to evaluate, and you got to go off past experience. And we pulled it together to come back to finish 8th.
And Kurt, so all that's happening, right? Are you, it's hard to tell behind the helmet how much you know from experience and how much you're scared about it, or you're guessing, or, you're feeling it out. Do you feel like you kind of know from all your experience? I've seen you with tires. I've seen you put sticky notes about your tires. You know tires as well as a lot of people who work on the car, right? Do you know then that it's going to be kind of okay, or are you just, it's a shot in the dark, or what?
I'm not going to say I'm an expert in problem solving with crappy problems, but having loose wheels or having vibrations and understanding where they're coming from, I'm going to give myself a report card of 8 out of 10 times I've been right. And you just, if you're wrong on those other 2 times, you just got to take it. And so I pitted running in the top 5 with a chance to win. But at the end of the day, if that thing would have vibrated apart and tore the fender off, and we would have went it in the fence, we would have finished 35th instead of where we rallied back to finish 8th. Points in the beginning part of the year are very important, and you just got to stick with your gut and make the call.
And that's the Russian roulette that you play, and it makes it so interesting to watch. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yeah, I just went through my checklist and I said, I got to fix this. I can't run it out.
Thank you, man.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Greg Engel. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Kurt, having lived in the Keys and commuted there every day, the 7-mile bridge thing was a fantasy come true for me, and I lived it through you. Thanks. The question I have, though, is your little brother, talking about the Bristol race, your little brother signed up to race the dirt race the week before, along with Logano and Larson. Any thought to that, and do you think it will give him a leg up?
Yeah, I've been researching the Bristol dirt race with what cars are running, when they're running, how many laps will they get. And to me, with NASCAR somewhat unveiling our schedule now, we're going to have practice on Friday. We're going to have heat races on Saturday and then race on Sunday. That helps me feel more confident that I'll drive my Cup car on that track and go through the track's changing conditions with the same car. If we didn't have all that and we just went in cold turkey, then I'd be looking to run other cars. And yet when you go to run other late models or modifieds, wheel travel's different, side force, down force, everything's different. And I don't want to develop bad habits leading into the Cup car. So my best preparation and approach to this is stick with my team, our car, and talk with Truck Series guys that have run Eldora. That's where you're going to learn the most and prep for Bristol Dirt.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, Kurt. Thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you the best of luck this weekend in Las Vegas.
Great. Thank you so much.